guys, welcome back to the Creating Gems podcast. We are in our little USA tour debrief series, and now we are up to part four. Pretty sure. Texas. Texas was crazy, guys. I think my longest stint was in Texas. I'm just getting up the photos of it. Um, I cried leaving Texas, guys. Texas was crazy cool. Okay. Yeah, like I don't even camp, and yet I stayed at this like military training facility where they have like these crazy guns, and you drive around in these things called Polarises. A Polaris. I don't know. It's like a golf cart. But like not a golf cart. It's like an off-roading golf cart. I don't know how to explain it, but it was really cool. Um, and I actually stayed there. One of my clients for creating gems, the consultancy element of what I do, is kind of living at this ranch. So she does some really cool stuff with the ranch, and they have a media company. But Kim also works in protecting children. She's got a not-for-profit called Digital Defenders Online, and exceptional story. Was born into a cult, escaped when she was 20 years old, and this cult was a religious doomsday cult. And so they did a lot of child exploitation, but through labor exploitation, and other things as well. But incredible story. I am obsessed with this girl. She just it continues to inspire me above and beyond. And so I get to go hang out with Kim in Texas. And then as well, I met through connections as well this gentleman named Joe, who has a non-for-profit called Demand Disruption. And again, it's really cool to see what Gems can do. And so this was our second collaboration as Creating Gems. And we actually got to host an event at the Crime Stoppers building in Houston to be able to talk about now a different element. So with Robin and Stay With Me, we're able to talk about the intersection of the digital and the physical and how this coincides together with exploitation. But a big part of what I talk about is actually the male side of this. And because I would train chatters and I would run accounts on OnlyFans, and I got to see the exploitation of men. And Joe puts this so well. He says that people think that they're the consumers, but they're actually the ones being consumed. And I just think that's so true. Um, because we would target men with the content that we would do with the agency. Everything that we did was to make money off men. Simply put, that's it. How can we manipulate men? How can we entice men? How can we make as much money off men as possible? And so this is a huge element that needs to be addressed as well. Doesn't excuse the behavior, but it's massive. And I think that it's a huge mark that we miss in these conversations around anti-porn, exploitation. All of that is how are men being targeted in this? Because you take that away if you weren't promoting OnlyFans to entice men. Anyways, that's a whole conversation in itself. But I really care about that element as well, and what's the hard work that needs to be done for people that are consuming porn, um, that are purchasing sex. And so Joe really aligns with that, and that's what Demand Disruption does. And they actually intersect at the point of arrest for sex buyers and can facilitate walking hand in hand with them on that journey and that path of healing within them. Because Joe says that a lot of these people, they're not monsters. Of course, they exist in the world, but yeah, a lot of these guys will sit there and be like, I don't know how I got here. And I know from what we would do at the agency, the tactics we would use to be able to get guys to go, wait a minute, I was this. And then before you knew it, I was here. So that's a shared kind of thing that we really care about together. And yeah, I love how Joey says that, yeah, you're not necessarily the consumer, but you're the one being consumed. And you are by a $97 billion industry, which is the porn industry, that doesn't care and it just wants to make money and destroy people. So, oh, that got deep real quick. But so I landed in Texas, and Kim came and picked me up, and we hung out at the ranch, and I got barbecue. Oh gosh, I got barbecue for the first time, and it was pretty good. But the stuff that we had at the rodeo, but we drove then from San Antonio down to Houston, and got to hang out with Joe and Fong, and it was just incredible. And so the first thing we did was we went on the news. So So that was pretty cool. I got to go on the news, like KHOU 11, um, and have a really cool conversation there, which was really fun. It was just great to be able to have facilitated a long format conversation in a way like this that really hits the community. And it was so interesting in the green room before. I was actually chatting with a girl that's a makeup artist for one of the regulars that's on the news channel there. And she was talking about how, yeah, in Houston, it's so normal. All of her friends do OnlyFans. It's just like the default career path. And I think it goes to show that no matter what generation you are, what demographic you are, if you're, higher income, lower income, if you're in the South, if you're in California, if you're in Australia, if you're in the UK, it doesn't matter. This is touching and affecting people and influencing people. And that's why I care about this so much, because there's no kind of place that this doesn't reach or, impact. The impact honestly isn't good. So that was really cool. So I got to go on the news. Super fun. And then from there, we went to the rodeo. Again, who am I? I don't even camp, but I got so. The rodeo was not what I thought it was. The easiest way I can explain it for Aussies is like, think of the Melbourne show, times it by 1 billion, then times it again by 10, and that's the Houston rodeo. It was so cool. And so we just looked around, and I wanted to eat everything. I wanted to eat everything. All the trash carnival food, but I was really being good because I knew that it would just make me feel awful. But what we did end up getting was the craziest brisket and ribs. It's something that I still think about. That brisket, I don't know, Joe went up to the people and was like, I have like an Aussie tourist here and we need the best kind of brisket. And it was like butter. The ribs, exceptional. Obviously, here's the photo. Amazing. Sides didn't really care too much about because the actual brisket and ribs itself was just the best thing ever. Honestly, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I'll find that again. Can someone please invite me to Houston and take me to the rodeo so we can go get that again? That would be fantastic. Or if you have any barbecue recommendations, I remember looking at, she was a pitmaster, Mitzi or something, and she's like this 90-year-old pitmaster. I really want to go there. But anyone who has good barbecue recommendations in the South, please let me know. Also, controversy. Supposedly, Georgia barbecue is better than Texas barbecue, but that's not coming from me. That's coming from friends. So tell me what's better. But that was really special. And then that night, we had event demand disruption with Crime Stoppers, and again, for me, it's about how do we break the barriers down of thinking that this is something that is too hard to fix, too unobtainable, or that this isn't a problem, because again, it is. We have to understand that this bleeds and impacts and affects so many people. And a big mission that I have is getting people to understand the gravity of this, because I don't think people understand the magnitude and the bigness of how influential OnlyFans is, what is happening digitally, what is happening on social media, the ecosystems that exist behind the scenes, and what needs to be done to see this end. And a lot of it is preventative measures. It's not reactive measures, and it's just about the education piece. And yeah, so it was really special and it was really beautiful to be able to have that discussion. And Joe talks about kind of like this cycle of escalation, and that ties in really well with what OnlyFans facilitates. So you might start out with watching porn, and then from watching porn, it goes to extreme porn, then it goes to violent porn, and then you're purchasing sex, and then you're doing this, and then before you know it. So, and that's mirrored so beautifully as well. I shouldn't say beautifully, but that's mirrored as well in OnlyFans. And so it was just great. And then there was another lady named Sydney who was there from Crime Stoppers, and we just had a panel and got to discuss all those things. I will put a link to the live stream of that as well, so you can actually watch the full conversation that we had. And yeah, it was just a really wonderful time in Houston, being able to hang out with Joe and hang out with Bong. And then the next day after that, we actually filmed for a couple of hours, and it was just a really great educational stuff, and just conversations again, deep diving in even more into the reality. What are the actionables? What are the things that we can take away? And what needs to happen? How do we activate not only the church, but people outside the church? And what can we do? And it was just a really wonderful conversation that hopefully a lot of people will leave and they'll feel informed, and they'll feel equipped, and they'll feel inspired to go out there and take these tangible and actionable steps to be able to actually see change happen. Because it's something that everyone cares about. And I think collectively we can all agree that, number one, children don't deserve to be exposed to porn, but all the other things as well, I guess, that comes along with this, of what happens in this exploitation arena that we're in. And so that's part one. I was gonna part 10, part one of of Texas. And so again, subscribe. Let me know what your takeaways were. Let me know barbecue places as well. Invite me to come to the South so we can speak about all of this and then go out to barbecue together. And come back for part 2 of Texas, because that was one of the most special experiences ever. So I can't wait for our next debrief of Texas, guys.